Hello and welcome to your trusted source for all things related to Canadian immigration, Canada Immigration Daily. Whether you are someone dreaming of studying in Canada, currently applying for a study permit, or already living and studying in the Great White North, you've landed in the right place. Today's video is especially important. We are going to break down one of the most dramatic shifts in Canadian immigration policy in recent history, the sweeping changes to international study permits, effective mid-2025. If you're a prospective student or someone helping a loved one through the application process, this information could change everything. Before we dive deep, make sure to smash that like button, hit subscribe, and turn on the notification bell, so you never miss out on critical immigration updates. Your engagement helps us continue delivering timely and accurate information to people like you. Let's begin. Section 1. A major shift in Canada's international education policy. In early 2025, the Canadian government, under Prime Minister Mark Carney, announced a new immigration strategy aimed at managing the growing population of temporary residents. A key part of this strategy includes new restrictions and limits on international study permits, a move that has sent ripples across the global student community, particularly affecting applicants from India, Nigeria, the Philippines, and several other countries. Gone are the days of Canada's open-door policy that welcomed hundreds of thousands of international students annually under the Trudeau government. Now, the focus is on sustainability, integrity, and infrastructure balance. These new policies are reshaping how students come to Canada, who gets in, how many are allowed, and under what conditions. Section 2. The numbers that shocked everyone, the 31% drop. Let's look at the numbers. According to the most recent data from Immigration, Refugees and Citizenship Canada IRCC, the number of Indian students who received study permits from January to March 2025 plummeted to just 30,640. Compare that to the same period in 2024, when 44,295 Indian students were approved. That's a sharp and undeniable 31% decrease. This isn't an isolated statistic. It reflects a broader, intentional policy shift. Indian students, who have historically formed the backbone of Canada's international student community, are now finding themselves squeezed out of the system. In 2023, Indian nationals held over 278,000 study permits. That was more than 40% of all international students in Canada. But by the end of 2024, that number had dropped significantly to around 188,000 and is continuing to fall in 2025. If you're finding this information valuable so far, please take a moment to like this video and share it with anyone you know who's planning to study in Canada. Your support allows us to keep helping international students navigate these difficult transitions. Section 3. National Trends, the wider impact. It's not just Indian students being affected. Canada's overall issuance of study permits has taken a major hit. The IRCC reports that only about 96,500 study permits were granted during the first quarter of 2025. That's a 21% drop from the same period in 2024, when 121,070 permits were approved. The trend is clear. The Canadian government is deliberately scaling back the number of new international students entering the country. This is not a temporary fix or a short-term blip. It's part of a comprehensive, longer-term strategy to reduce the pressures on Canada's housing, healthcare, education, and infrastructure systems. Section 4. The 5% cap on temporary residents, what it means. At the heart of the new strategy is Prime Minister Carney's plan to cap the number of temporary residents, including international students, foreign workers, asylum seekers, and refugees, to just 5% of the national population by 2027. Given that Canada's total population is approximately 40 million, this means a maximum of 2 million temporary residents will be allowed across all categories. That's a drastic shift from current levels, which hover above 2.5 million. This new cap is designed to address the overwhelming pressure on hospitals, transit systems, rental housing, and other urban infrastructure in major cities like Toronto, Vancouver, and Montreal. Don't forget, subscribing to our channel ensures that you get real-time updates on how these caps and other immigration changes will affect your application or current visa status. Section 5. Study permit caps and provincial quotas. Let's talk numbers again. The national cap for new international study permits in 2025 is set at 437,000, down from 485,000 in 2024. That's a 10% decrease, and sources suggest this number could drop even further in the years ahead. But here's the twist: that cap is not distributed equally across Canada. This means your chances of receiving a study permit can vary significantly depending on where you plan to study. Students are now being advised to consider less popular provinces that may have more quota space and less application backlog. Section 6. The new financial rules double the burden. As of January 1, 2024, the financial proof required for international students doubled from $10,000 to $20,635. This amount is in addition to tuition and is intended to cover the cost of living for the first year in Canada. While the IRCC insists that this change is about protecting students from financial hardship, critics argue that it places a disproportionate burden on students from lower-income countries. Families from India, Nigeria, and the Philippines, some of the largest sources of international students, are finding it increasingly difficult to meet these financial thresholds. When you factor in the high living costs in Canadian cities, where rent, food, and transportation can easily exceed $2,000 per month, the financial burden becomes overwhelming. Section 7. Fighting fraud, the new DLI verification system. In December 2023, the IRCC introduced a digital letter of acceptance law verification system to crack down on fake colleges and dishonest agents. Under this system, only designated learning institutions DLs can issue verified LOIs, which must be confirmed before the study permit application can proceed. While this step improves security and reduces fraud, it also adds a new bureaucratic layer that can delay processing times and increase the rejection rate, especially for students applying to lesser-known institutions. Our advice: stick with reputable colleges and work only with licensed immigration consultants to avoid being caught in scams. Section 8. Infrastructure strain, the bigger picture. Canada's infrastructure simply hasn't kept pace with the influx of newcomers. A 2024 report from the Canada Mortgage and Housing Corporation (CMHC) revealed vacancy rates below 2% in most university towns. Rent prices have spiked by 10% to 15% annually. City mayors from across Canada are raising alarms, pointing to overwhelmed public services, long wait times at clinics, and overcrowded transit systems. These pressures have triggered a response from the federal government to slow down the number of new arrivals, including international students. This is why we're seeing stricter rules, reduced quotas, and tighter admission controls. Section 9. Economic fallout for educational institutions. Let's not forget the impact on Canadian universities and colleges. International students pay significantly more in tuition than domestic students, often 3 to 5 times more. In 2025 alone, experts estimate that Canada's post-secondary education sector could lose over $4 billion in revenue due to falling enrollment. Small colleges in suburban and rural areas are especially vulnerable, with some already preparing for budget cuts, layoffs, and potential closures. Universities are lobbying the federal government for financial support or exemptions from the new quotas, arguing that their economic survival and the future of Canada's research and innovation sector depends on continued international student enrollment. Section 10. Recommendations for students, what you should do now. Despite all the changes, studying in Canada is still possible, if you're well prepared and strategic. Here are 5 essential tips. Plan ahead. Begin researching early. Understand the specific provincial quota and institutional admission processes. Be financially prepared. Have your documents ready to show that you can meet the $20,635 financial requirement plus tuition. Choose the right institutions. Always apply to verified DLs. This not only protects your application but also increases your approval chances. Work with licensed consultants. Avoid fraud by collaborating only with certified immigration consultants or lawyers. Explore alternative paths. Look into student exchange programs, dual degree options, or provinces with higher admission quotas. Still watching? Don't forget to subscribe for more updates like this, and share this video with someone who's thinking of applying to study in Canada. Conclusion: a new chapter begins. In closing, Canada's international student landscape is changing fast. What we're witnessing is not a closing of doors, but rather a rebalancing. The government's goal is to create a sustainable, fair, and manageable system. For Indian students, and indeed for applicants worldwide, the message is clear. Be honest, be informed, and most importantly, Be ready financially and strategically. Opportunities in Canada are still very much alive, but they are no longer guaranteed. Success will depend on how well prepared you are to meet the new realities of studying abroad. What are your thoughts on these new regulations? Are you reconsidering your plans? Let us know in the comments below. We love hearing from you. And once again, like, share, and subscribe to Canada Immigration Daily. Stay tuned with us as we continue to bring you all the latest updates from the Canadian immigration world.